Cross-passage, static, CCTV stares at an empty subway platform after last train. The locked cross-passage door at the far end has a little plex window. On the inside of that window, a clean palm blooms in condensation and slides exactly 1 inch. Over a dead PA channel, a slow, careful voice you don't have in your system says, "Don't open." You take the midnight watch because the city pays extra for hearing tunnels think. 25, fresh badge, orange vest that advertises your pulse to cameras and rats. Your job is simple. Watch platforms A and B, log work, cruise, acknowledge alarms, and never open cross-passage doors after hours without a ticket and a second body. Extra rules from your lead, Chen, during handoff. Don't answer whistles you didn't see blown, don't walk the track alone, and if the control console suggests a quick release, tell it no like a dog that knows roads. He smiled like it was folklore. The smile didn't stick. By 11:02 p.m., the station has 1 breath vent fans pulling a polite lungful, transformers humming that note that counts your teeth, residual brake dust remembering gravity. In the signal box, the little zebra printer used for temporary notices wakes without your thumb and spits a strip with no job code, just "Do not open cross-passage." Along the torn edge, ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m. You slide the strip under the console glass because paper makes rules heavier. 2 knuckles touch the signal box window measured, not expansion pop. The glass throws your face back half a beat late, and over your shoulder, a second head leans toward your left ear. Mouth parted on the first half of "don't." You blink until glass remembers it can lie less. Platform mic 1 clicks to life. A voice comes through slow and careful, as if each word were lowered into place with 2 fingers. "Don't open," not Chen, not operations. The museum voice cities keep for labeling bones. You say, "Copy to the desk," because sound pins time to walls. The console floats a suggestion in the corner of its face. You step out to platform a tile, stale air, a single poster that believes in a product nobody loves at midnight. At the end wall, the gray cross-passage door wears its chain in a plex porthole. On the inside of that circle, a palm blooms, slides 1 inch, thins. You set your own hand to your side, because mammals have rituals, through plex and cold. Pressure matches present, not pushy as, if a hand through material agrees, both of you exist. Your phone buzzes where it shouldn't live. Unknown. Confirm release at 3:13. The tiny map sits inside CP04, then behind your shoulder, then you hold the power button until mercy. The lock screen flashes 3:13 and gives the hour back like a dog surrendering a glove. The last outbound rolls through, a ribbon of light that forgives nobody. When silence returns, brake dust hangs like a theological point and then remembers concrete. Over the platform feed, a 2-note whistle drifts the exact pitch operators use to tell a crew to look up, landing a half beat late, like a copy trying to keep step. You do not answer. Vent fans, transformers, the cooling rail, your ribs aligned into one long note that presses a ruler under your sternum. In that held tone, the cross-passage latch shivers, as if a sleeper scratched and stops when you steady the plate. In the signal box again, Platform B cam throws a wrong frame air full of slow-falling chaff, like a harvest wandered underground, then minds itself. Tile, posters, empty bench. On the cross-passage plex, condensation writes another palm, a thumb width higher than you can fog, and slides its inch. You don't match it this time. Consent is a renewable resource, and yours is busy. Chen texts, all good you. Mostly. The timestamp flashes 3:13 for a beat, and then the honest hour like a joke that forgot to be funny. Printer's old, he replies the supervisor's absolution for nights that should hire priests. You print a sign because signs are spells. It's after midnight, doors stay locked. Blue painter S tape breathes like a small lung under your thumb and holds to the metal like it wants the last word. From the tunnel mouth, tap-tap maps the wall measured patient left to right, then right to left, like knuckles learning sentences in concrete. You aim your flashlight into the throat and get back honesty. Ballast, rail, distance, pretending it's a pet. In the glass of the signal box, your reflection arrives late. For a single frame, a head leans near your left ear, mouth an oval on don't. The next moment remembers laminate and dust. The console grows brave. Service window predicted to 313. The accept key waits like a mouth. Close the lid and let its idea practice humility in the dark. 11:31 p.m. The PA tries to wake with its own breath and fails. The zebra printer feeds a damp strip as if letters sweat. Leave the cross passage locked. You slide it under glass beside the first strip until the words weigh more than offers. You walk the length of platform B because legs leash bad ideas. The red help button at the far column winks once like a person and thinks better of it. On the plex, a palm blooms, slides that inch, and vanishes like a well-trained magic trick. Your hand stays at your side. Some agreements expire on first contact. In the track window, light stutters as the ventilation fan ramps. The little green eyes in the third rail cabinets practice being constellations. A gum wrapper takes flight and flutters back down, as if gravity were negotiating. 11:49 p.m. The console tries wearing a new face. Comfort mode, reduce fan noise. You pull O's suggestions at the breaker because faith sometimes needs pliers. The ups catches the fall with dignity. The speaker learns silence again. On your phone face down, the camera sneaks a photo and files it where memories pretend to live. You at CPO4 with a hand on steel signs crowded like talismans, the station clock insisting. 313 in the corner where numbers should be dry. No caption. You let your pocket keep the secret. A mouse arrives and reads your caution tape like scripture, then leaves to tell no one. Midnight lands without costume change. The vent fans settle half a notch, like lungs deciding to save themselves for later. At 12:06 a.m., platform a cam quits for a heartbeat. When it returns, the plex shows one more palm, slides its inch, remembers physics. The PA finds the careful voice again. A librarian's patience. Don't. Go down. The only down from here is the track, and the rule about tracks after hours fits your bones like a brace. Between then and the hour with a reputation, time wears steel-toe boots and knows its route. Twice you hear the whistle 2 notes, a beat latent. Twice you let the air have custody of the sound. Twice the chain nudges and learns manners when you say no to a thing that never had ears. 313 sits down like rumor that found a chair. Every small indicator blinks once and holds the exit thread in the mezzanine stairwell. The pale bead on the door contact, the heartbeat led on a rack you swear you unplugged. The station takes one long breath through fan and wire and tile and ribs and lets it go. On the plex and on the brushed plate of the latch, 2 perfect palms bloom, facing each other and slide together 1 inch before thinning to memory. Platform mic 1 gives you the last kindness it can afford in that museum wait. Leave the door. Closed. The console forgets quick releases ever existed and remembers it is a rectangle. Dawn rehearses a color down the stairwell and then commits. Chen shows with coffee and the posture of a man who can file paperwork for ghosts. Quiet? He asks. Which is how people who count nights ask if you left the world unaltered. Mostly, you say, sliding the damp strips into his palm. He frowns at do not open cross passage and leave the cross passage locked like they were policies he wishes he'd written before he believed in them. Printer's old, he says the supervisor's spell for phenomena you can't requisition. He raps the latch with 2 knuckles and listens like a doctor to a sternum. Out. Nothing a ledger would fund answers back. We'll crack it at noon with a crew, he says. If the system invented buttons in the night, we'll uninvent them with bolts. At noon, with sunlight that docent belong down here, and 2 witnesses who don tea like being superstitious, you unchain CPO for because checklists worship physics. The door opens like metal behaving. The passage is only a tunnel. On the inner ring beneath the latch in tiny grease pencil none of you can own. Sentence waits where no glove writes comfortably. Leave the door closed. The letters look pressed up from the other side as if a hand wrote them through steel. A month later, you trade some midnights for afternoons and tell people it's for your spine. Some weeks around 313, your apartment radiator knocks twice like polite fingers on a latch. And the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb with higher than you can reach while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes to unknown. Quick release. And gets bored when you don't. When it asks in other ways, you keep your hands off doors that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive a beat late and know your pulse. You don't step down onto rails that remember your name. In the steady voice this station taught you, you say. The door stays closed. For a long, thin moment, your room hums one note like a tunnel deciding to be kind. A head leans by your left ear and practices the first half of Don't, and then the pipes remember water. The hour gives back the number it borrowed. So whatever was learning your roots a half beat behind you, chooses someone else's platform and leaves yours to daylight. Signs that stick and doors that mean it. Blue light, cold aisle. CCTV from the cold aisle shows the polycarbonate door of cage 7. Blue lead wash pulses like a heartbeat. On the inside of the clear door, a clean palm blooms in condensation and slides exactly 1 inch. From the ceiling speaker that only plays white noise, a slow, careful voice says, "Don't authenticate." Night guard log. Physical security, Tier 3 data center. Incident compiled after shift. You take the midnight watch because the building pays extra for nerves that learn silence. 25. New badge. Vest that squeaks when you breathe. Your job is simple. Check badge readers. Walk perimeter. Verify temperature alarms with your eyes. And don't badge into customer cages after hours without a ticket and a witness. Extra rules for morales at handoff. Grin that didn't stick. Don't answer knocks you didn't see. Don't walk the hot aisle alone. And if the console offers a fast override, tell it no like a dog that knows roads. The building hums a sentence no one asked it to. C units inhale and exhale winter. Ups fans sew a continuous thread through your ribs. PDAs blink the kind of green that wants to pass as mercy. At 10:58 p.m., the zebra label printer in the security bay wakes without your thumb and spits a strip with no asset code. No location just. Do not badge in. Along the edge. Ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m. You slide the strip under the glass blotter. Because paper makes rules heavier. 2 knuckles touch the security window measured, not thermal pop. The glass throws your face back half a beat late and, behind your shoulder, a second head leans toward your left ear. Mouth parted on the first half of Don't, you blink until glass remembers. It can lie less. The access console on the desk comes up with a card you didn't. T request. Quick override. Cage 7. The accept button glows the exact green designers use when they want guilt to feel. Optional, you hit decline and pretend electrons respect boundaries. The white noise ceiling speaker clicks and lowers a voice into the room, piece by piece. Careful as a museum guide. Don't. Open. Not morales. Not knock. The tone cities use to label bones. You say copy to the empty chair, because speaking makes air pick a side. Your first tour is always the long rectangle. Fob to mantrap to white space. Cold aisle is blue light and breath that hires knives. Hot aisle is red glow and resentment. You pause at cage 7 because the badge reader there has a temper and the polydor likes compliments. On the inside of the clear panel, a palm blooms, slides 1 inch, and thins like the air has learned handwriting. You set your own palm to your side, because mammals are old animals. Through plastic and cold, pressure matches present, not pushy as, if a hand through material agrees you both exist. Your phone buzzes where it shouldn't live. Unknown. Confirm override at 3:13. The tiny map sits inside cage 7, then behind your shoulder. Then you hold the power button until mercy. The lock screen flashes 3:13 and gives the hour back like a dog surrendering a glove. No C pings the handheld. Temp blip row. Do you check with eyes? Rhodey is behaving like Winter hired a tutor. On a rack door at knee height, Frost suggests half a palm, remembers physics, evaporates. You mark it down anyway because you've learned that writing makes the building choose at 11:12 p.m. The whole floor aligns cracks, ups fans, PDS, your breath one long-held note that pushes a steel ruler under your ribs. In that chord, cage 7's maglock shivers a millimeter as if a sleeper scratched. Then finds shame when your hand settles on the latch and says, no, like bedtime. The access console back in the bay floats another suggestion into the corner of its face. Comfort mode, reduce white noise. You kill O suggestions at the breaker because faith sometimes needs pliers. The ups catches the fall with dignity. The speaker learns silence again. 2-note whistle threads up the hot eye legzac, pitch of a forklift backup alarm nobody owns. Here lands a half beat late. like a copy trying to keep step. You do not answer. The ceiling speaker offers a bedtime rule. Careful, leave it. Morales texts from the parking lot because he left his lunch and habit is strong. All good. You send mostly. The timestamp wears 3:13 for one beat, and then the right hour like a joke that forgot to commit. Printer's old, he replies. The supervisor's absolution for nights that need a priest. Back on the floor, the camera over Roby throws a wrong frame. Intake LEDs scatter like chaff in still air, as if a harvest got lost among servers. The next frame behaves doors, rails, ribbon cable, neat as prayer. On cage 7, the poly panel fogs a palm higher than your mouth can breathe, slides its inch, vanishes. You do not match it this time. Consent is a renewable resource and yours is busy. In the man trap, the lower pane of safety glass learns a trick it can. T-own. Your reflection arrives late, and for one instant, a head leans near your left ear, mouth an oval around dome. The next instant remembers laminate. You print a sign, because signs are spells. It's after midnight. Nitrogen monoxide entry without Morgan, no. You tape it over the badge reader with blue painter. S-tape that breathes like a small lung and holds even against cold that argues. The access console adds a footer with new manners. Service window predicted to 3:13. The accept key waits like a mouth again. You press notot and let the suggestion sit like a scolded pet. At 11:31 p.m., the man trap door behind you huffs and offers a 1/4 inch as if to rehearse letting someone in. It learns manners when you look at it with eyebrows. The zebra printer pushes a damp strip you didn't call. Edges wet as if letters can sweat. Leave the cage latched. You slide it under the blotter beside the first strip until the words weigh more. Row H's cage handle lifts a hair under no hand and apologizes by being still. You lean close to read a customer. Warning. Do not disturb change window 0600. The handwriting looks like someone made the letters while walking. Your handheld camera captures a breath of condenser fog that never existed anywhere else. You watch it on replay. The fog writes a palm, slides 1 inch, and then remembers servers don't do ghosts.noc in your ear. Generator test postponed. Winds are playing favorite children. You nod at no one, and the cameras nod back by not changing. From hot aisle, tap maps a line of rack doors, measured patient left to right, then right to left. Like Knuckles learning a sentence on perforated steel, you do not go there alone, is one of Morales' rules you are married to tonight. The white noise speaker gathers itself and says softly, as if tucking a child under a blanket. Keep the door closed. You walk the perimeter of white space, because legs are good at discouraging ideas. At the caged-in loading bay, the dock door window blooms a palm from the wrong side and slides its inch. You don't touch that one? Some agreements expire on first use. 11:49 p.m. Tries to be an hour. Your phone face down, takes a photo by itself, and files it where memories pretend to live. You at the badge reader with your hand on poly. The tape that reads no cage entry, the clock insisting on 3:13 where numbers should mind their business. No caption. You let it go because drawers closing is a skill. Back in the bay, someone has set a ceramic mug on the console that no one owns. It leaves a ring on laminate like a partial eclipse. You wipe it away and the ring remains, faint, polite. Midnight lands without a costume change. You write quiet night in the physical log because supervisors like to see that lie in ink. The letters look wet longer than pens are allowed. The maglock led at cage 7 tries a blink pattern. The manual refuses to document and returns to green like a sinner, remembering. At 12:06 a.m., the building reconsiders, being plural. CRACS ups PDS, your pulse aligned into one long note that makes jawbones tell teeth to be friends. In that held breath, cage 7's latch nudges and abandons the idea when you say no in that voice. You learned 4 dogs who know roads too well. The access console, as a last resort, floats a tiny icon-only card. Secure unlock. The arrow doesn't choose left or right. It points down, toward the reader. You close the lid on its face and cut its auxiliary power again. The ups catches. Kill that too. Faith, pliers, patience. Past the cable troughs, the red glow of hot aisle practices being a backstage you don't want tickets for. From that direction, the whistle returns to notes, Half a beat late and quits before bravery can become a hobby. Between then and the hour, with a reputation, time wears steel-toe boots and knows where it's going. Twice you hear tap-tap exact to your pulson, the poly of Cage 7. You do not look because sometimes not looking is the truest ritual you have left. 313 sits down like rumor that found a chair. Every small indicator blinks once and holds the exit thread over the man-trap. The pale bead on the maglock, the heartbeat led on a UPS you unplugged. The floor takes one long breath through wire and fan and winter and ribs and lets it go. On the poly door and the brushed handle of Cage 7, two perfect palms bloom facing each other and slide together 1 inch before thinning to memory. The ceiling speaker offers the last kindness it has to spend. Leave the cage. Latched to the console forgets overrides ever existed and remembers it is a rectangle. Dawn rehearses itself against the at. Parking lot puddles, then commits. Morgan from NOC walks up with coffee and the posture of a person who can file tickets for ghosts. Quiet? She asks. Which is how people who count nights ask if you left the world unaltered. Mostly you say, and slide the damp strips into her hand. She frowns at do not badge in and leave the cage latched like they repolasi she wishes she. De-written before she believed in them. Printers old, she decides the supervisor's absolution for phenomena you can't requisition. She wraps Cage 7's poly with 2 knuckles and listens like a doctor to a sternum. Nothing a ledger would fund answers back. We'll open at noon with a witness, she says. If the system invented buttons overnight, we'll uninvent them with change control. At noon, under fluorescent honesty and with 2 signatures, you badge in because the checklist needs physics to pass. The air inside is winter and modesty. On the inside of the latch ring, in tiny grease pencil none of you can own, a sentence waits where no glove writes comfortably. Leave the cage latched. The letters look pressed up from the other side as if a hand wrote them through plastic. A month later, you trade some midnights for afternoons and tell people it's for your spine. Some weeks around 313, your apartment radiator knocks twice like a polite maglock, and the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb width higher than you can reach while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes itself to unknown. Quick override, and gets bored when you don't. When it asks in other ways, keep your hands off readers that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive a beat late, and know your pulse. You don't walk the hot aisle when red looks like a dare. In the voice this floor taught you steady, small you say. The cage stays latched. For a long, thin moment, your room hums one note, like a UPS deciding to be kind. A head leans by your left ear and practices the first half of don't. And then the pipes remember water. The hour gives back the number it borrowed. And whatever was learning your roots a half beat behind you, chooses someone else, leads and leaves yours to daylight. Tickets that behave, and doors that mean it. Hush Protocol Dock 9 Harbor CCTV stares across stacked containers in fog. A gantry crane sits dead. On a steel locker door, a clean palm blooms in condensation and slides exactly 1 inch. Over a muted radio channel, slow, careful voice that isn't in the system says, "Don't." You take the midnight watch at Dock 9, because the harbor pays extra for silence. 25. It's badge that still creaks when you breathe. Orange vest that advertises your pulse to the gulls. Your job is simple. Log the truck plates that don't come. Walk the catwalks nobody loves. Cycle the perimeter gates at the half hour. And leave the cranes sleeping. Extra rules from Ramos on shift handoff. A grin that didn't T-stick. Don T answer whistles. You didn't TC blown? Don't step between stacked boxes when the fog is thick. And if the yard console suggests a fast service, tell it no like it's a dog who knows roads. By 11:02 p.m., the dock has found one. Breath compressors purring. Refrigeration units mumbling freight dreams. Sodium lamps wearing halos of their own mistakes. In the gate shack, the thermal labeler you use for visitor passes coughs a strip without your thumb. Do not open yard gates. Along the edge, ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m., you pin the strip under the acrylic blotter because paper makes rules heavier. 2 knuckles touch the shack window measured, not expansion pop. The glass throws your face back half a beat late, and behind your shoulder, a second head leans toward your left ear. mouth parted on the first half of don't. You breathe once like someone entering cold water, and blink until glass remembers it. Can lie less. The yard console wakes to a card you didn't call. Quick cycle. Westgate, the accept button glows the precise green that forgives. You tap decline and pretend electrons respect boundational too. Clicks on the radio, no face on the board, then lowers a voice into the room piece by piece. Careful as a museum guide. Don't open. Not Ramos. Not dispatch. The tone that cities use to label bones. Weather. Toggle perimeter cams. Log a barometer drift you didn't earn. Write down wind direction for no witness. The low line and the wires all align into one long note that pushes a ruler under your ribs. Westgate chain shivers. Millimeter as if a sleeper scratched hand. Finds its shame when your gloved palm lands on steel and says no like bedtime. Your phone buzzes where it shouldn't live. Unknown. Confirm cycle at 3:13. The tiny map sits inside the gate shack, then behind your chair, then you hold the power button until mercy. The lock screen flashes 3:13 and gives the hour back like a guilty dog returning a glove. The camera aimed at row K throws a wrong frame. Pixels behave like chaff drifting through still air. A slow fall, as if Harvest took a wrong exit onto concrete, then remembers boxes and fog. On a container's corrugation, doublooms a palm 5 long ovals, and a heel slides 1 inch, then thins to lace. You set your own hand to the cold steel because mammals have rituals. Through metal and mist, pressure match is present, not pushy as if a hand through material agrees you both exist. Truck lane sensor pings a ghost axle count. Nothing arrives. The guard shack phone rings once with the politeness of a stranger. The voicemail it leaves edits breathing to be kind. Over it, that careful voice stitches a rule. Leave it closed. You log it the way people log, weather and faith, quiet night. The ink looks wet longer than pens owe you. Out past the reefer stacks, a crane's cab light takes a breath and holds. Channel 3 gives you a 2-note whistle at the pitch forklift drivers use to say, I'm behind you half a beat late, like a copy learning to walk. You do not answer. The console adds a footer. Soft service window predicted. 3:13. The accept key waits like a mouth. You walk the catwalk over berth. See? 'Cause legs are leashes for ideas. In the flat black water, your reflection arrives half a beat late, and for 1 frame ahead leans toward your left ear mouth. An oval around don't. Then the harbor remembers how to be a page with no writing on it. Condensation blooms a palm and slides exactly 1 inch. You don't match it this time. Consent is a renewable resource, and yours is busy. 11:31 pulls the whole yard into choir. Reefer hums. The cranes brake click. The sodium buzz. The line on the poles. Your ribs dash aligned. In that held note, the Westgate chain nudges and gives up when you say no. To iron, like you. Repaid to mean it. The labeler in the shack extrudes a damp strip as if letters sweat. Leave the yard gates closed. You tape it to the console where your hand will be rude and see it. Dispatch texts, a syntax you've learned to hear like weather. All good? The answer mostly. The time stamp briefly wears 3:13 like a joke that doesn't stick, then returns to now. Printer's old. You reply the manager's absolution for nights that should have priests and get clipboards. Row. D's motion cam finds the shape of a person for 1 frame by a stack. The next frame makes a wall. The Westgate pilot light blinks the exact code the manual swears doesn't exist and holds. Tap maps corrugations, left to right, measured, patient, like knuckles learning a sentence on steel. You do not go between boxes when fog is thick. Your feet are ambitious. Argue with the rule in small ways and lose. A forklift key hung on a peg, moves a hair under no hand and reconsiders the idea. On channel 2, the careful voice puts the blanket back over your hour. Keep the gates closed. You print a sign because signs are spells. After midnight, no gate cycles without Ramos. The tape breathes like a small lung and holds to aluminum that doesn't. Love. Glue, the catwalk to the crane, smells like rain that lost an argument with rust. The cab window shows a palm from the inside, slides 1 inch, and forgets it new glass. At 11:49, caution chime in the shack argues for a comfort mode that will lower the reefer hum for your nerves. You pull the breaker labeled "Oh Suggestions" because sometimes faith needs pliers. The EPS catches the fall with dignity. The harbor learns it is allowed to be quiet again. Midnight lands without choreography. A container train practices a long note that wants to lay your teeth in a line. The cranes. Pretend to be asleep and don't fool anyone. Some agreements are one-use tools. 12:06 a.m. gives you a flicker on .cam 5. Smear of black like unlit room where water should be water. Then returns to tide and sodium haze. The console, last ditch, floats a card with an icon-only language. Cycle now. The arrow doesn't choose left or right. It points down, toward the chain. You close the lid on its idea and let it practice humility in the dark. Near the freezer containers, Frost paints an index card to the inside of a poly door. You wipe it with a sleeve. The message remains plain as breath. Don't. Acknowledge knocks. You leave it because the dock is a church, and sometimes the sermon prints itself. The hour between then and the named. One is a long plank. 2 knocks check the shack glass, exact to your pulse. Stop. The reefer hum takes your jaw and hands it back. Fog edits the yard into rooms. 3:13 arrives like rumor that found a chair. The gate pilot's pale bead, the heartbeat on the console you unplugged. The dock takes one long breath. Through metal and wire and water and ribs and lets it go, on the gate chain and a near container's skin. 2 perfect palms bloom facing each other and slide together 1 inch before thinning to memory. Closed. The console forgets fast anything existed. Dawn rehearses itself against fog until the sky admits it was wrong. Ramos arrives with coffee, the posture of a man who files paperwork for ghosts. Quiet, he asks, which is how people who count nights ask if you left the world unaltered. Mostly you say, and lay the damp strips in his hand. Like they read policies he should have written before he believed in them. Printer's old, he decides the supervisor's spell for phenomena. You can't requisition. He wraps the west chain with 2 knuckles and listens like a doctor to a sternum. Nothing a ledger would fund answers. We'll cycle with 3 witnesses at noon, he says. If the system invented buttons, we'll uninvent them with lockout tags. At noon, the sunlight that understands duty. The chain lifts under your hand like a dog that knows appointments. The gate opens as gates do when physics is present. A sentence waits where no glove writes comfortably. Leave the gates closed. The letters look pressed up from the other side, as if a hand wrote them through steel. You trade a few nights for afternoons and tell people it's for your spine. Some weeks around 3:13, your apartment radiator knocks twice like a polite chain. In the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb width higher than you can reach while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes too, unknown. Quick cycle, and gets bored when you don't, when it asks in other ways. You keep your hands off latches that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive, beat late with confidence. You don't walk between stacked boxes when the fog has pinions. In the voice this doc taught you steady, small you say, the gates stay closed. For a long, thin moment, the room at home hums 1 note like water deciding to be kind. A head leans by your left ear and practices the first half of don't, and then the pipes remember water the hour gives back the number it borrowed. And whatever was learning your roots a half beat behind you, chooses someone else. S. Yarden leaves yours to daylight clipboards that behave and chains that keep their promises.